888 film is shining light on the only women's Army Corps of color in Europe during World War II, and there is a local tie to Savannah. Our Jasmine Butler tells us more about one of the soldiers and how her daughter is now continuing on her legacy.
Yep, Mike, I spoke with the daughter of Annie B. Knight, one of the original battalion members. She was a part of our nation's history, but also a part of history right here in the Coastal Empire. An untold story making headlines across the nation.
I am Captain Charity Adams.
The 6888 is the story of the 6,888th Postal Battalion, the only women's Army Corps unit of color stationed in Europe during World War II.
They were all courageous women. They were all adventurous. They were young women, and they were women that were, you know, a young black woman going into the military, going out of the country in the 40s. Who would have imagined?
This group tasked to sort the backlog of more than 17 million pieces of undelivered mail for U.S. soldiers in Europe, a team of about 885 women.
She was in the military. She was private first class, Annie B. Knight, and then she married a Jordan.
One of those women with deep ties to the hostess city. This is her daughter, Dr. Karen B. Jordan, who grew up listening to the stories of her mother's time in the battalion.
She tells her story that she looked out the window one day in her office building, and she says, there's got to be more to life than this.
She's heard the funny stories.
The whole thing about when you make up a bed, you're supposed to be able, the Army way, you're supposed to be able to bounce a quarter off of the bed if you're supposed to have it so tight. And some of the other descendants' mothers had told them that same story.
But also stories of the hard work the battalion put in to maintain military morale and the discrimination they faced while trying to get it done.
When people say, well, all they did was process the mail, no, the mail was extremely important. It was a major problem. It was a crisis for the military at that time. What are we going to do about this?
Her mother, along with every other soldier in the 6888, got the job done in 3 months, making history, and now the film shining light on that history. Now that this movie is out, all eyes are on the work that they did. If your mom was here, what would be your message to her?
I wouldn't have to say a thing to her. She would just be ecstatic. She would be calling me, telling me all the time, and she'd want to make sure that I got her to every event.
After being disbanded and marrying her husband, Jordan moved to Savannah, where she began her work as a civil activist.
She lived here for 61 years until she passed.
And so she did a lot here in Savannah.
Yeah, she was very active in Savannah. She and my father were very active with the NAACP. I remember them going to mass meetings when Martin Luther King would come and talk, and so they were very, very active with that.
Along with becoming an educator, an advocate for Black military women, and a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, she created a legacy that her children would be proud of.
We felt like, oh my God, this is our legacy, but this is also an important legacy for Black women, for military women, for women in general, and it's a hidden figure story that hasn't been told, and so most of us go around and talk about our mothers.
And if you want to read more about the 6888 Battalion, you can find this story on our website at WTOC.com.